through. We know that you're real, so can you fall through? Father, have mercy when we call on you.
That's all you say you
About 5 minutes. I raise my children up to say the same shit. Dear Lord, I hope you hear my prayers, because we really, really need you down here. From all the pain that we going through, we know that you're real, so can you fall through? Father, have mercy when we call on you. But I just want to fall on you, to show the devils you ain't nothing to play with. I raise my children up to say the same shit.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Look, I keep it low to the T. UBK play for keeps. Ain't shit sweet. Got soldiers on deck, and my youngin' did a sweep. This a whole nother way. Go ahead. Tell him get the fuck off the beach. Go ahead. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us here breach. Nigga come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us here breach. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. Go ahead. This shit is too easy. I'm on go, but they don't believe it. You know I'm winning with the team. Screaming Vinny, 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 V's. Hear them devils screaming out bloody murder. I'm about to close the curtain. I'm on my grind, bitch, I'm working. Sorry, all them lies, it ain't working. Them niggas weak, they be churching. I'm a West nigga, that's for certain. If they cross the line, I'm gonna back up and I'm gonna hit his ass with his virus. When I come through 300 strong, 144 Leonidas. All my niggas, we eat. I'm in this bitch with the itis. Say, all y'all do the sweet. Tell y'all let's do the sweet. The nigga made the wrong move when he make his ass obsolete. He ain't one of us hit the lead. He ain't one of us here preach. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas go retreat. Go ahead. I keep it low to the T. UBK play for keeps. Ain't shit sweet. Got soldiers on deck, and my youngin' did a sweep. This a whole nother wave. Tell him get the fuck off the beach. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us here breach. Nigga come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. UBK play for keeps. Ain't shit sweet. Got soldiers on deck, and my youngin' did a sweep. This a whole nother wave. Tell him get the fuck off the beach. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us here breach. Nigga come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us here breach. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. Go ahead.
Test. Most High in Christ. I think we should be Tawab now. Salakia for that. The camera kind of slipped.
Testing.
Con. Just a second. Salakia. Okay, Con, we good. Most High in Christ. All right, clap it up. Most High in Christ. Shalom. Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah Brakatah to all my brothers. Yahweh Shemal Atah Bashim Yahweh Shah to all my sisters. This is the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. Okay, we're out here in Durham, North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? This is the Friday night Lashawan Qadash class, the Hebrew class. You know what I'm saying? Priest and Officer 500 One, holding it down with my brother Officer 50 Yanazar. Okay, of course, this being the language class, you know what I'm saying, we get into the Hebrew and, you know, and also just discuss some of the cultural aspects, you know what I'm saying, of what it is that we do, of this Bible, of our history. You know what I'm saying? We get into some of those type of topics. So like that. There we go. Christ. Con. Of course, you know, last week we started to learn a couple of new words. There was one thing we kind of missed. We didn't have an opportunity to get into. But today we're going to spend an extensive amount of time covering that. Of course, we've been here before. I mean, we kind of go over this at least once every 2 to 3 months or something. But this is now, we're going to get back into it and use it to start to build up sentences again. We did this before, right? You know what I'm saying? Shalom says, Yahweh Shema Atah Shem Shah. We did this before, but we're going to, you know, we're just going to try to push to get a little bit more advanced on this next leg, okay? On this next kind of section. Not today per se. Today's going to be kind of common fare, or not common, but, you know, familiar territory. But nonetheless, it'll be important as we move forward to get into some of the more complex stuff. All right. So with that being said, today we're going to do, of course, the short intro, that prologue I love so much. Get into that. We're gonna we did not read Psalms 83 last week. We're gonna read it today, and we're gonna connect it with Zephaniah 2 and 1. Okay. Then we'll do a short alphabet review. So let me just say that it's gonna be short today. Short. Why? Because last week we spent like almost the whole class on it, kind of going over letter form again. You know, but I don't want to focus too much on that because I want to start getting some of the grammatical things that will actually help us when reading. Okay, that's very important to this too. There's, you know, when it comes to studying any language, there's different elements. You know, as you know, when you take an SAT, there's not only a reading section, there's a writing section. Even though I think some of those things have changed, but the point of it is that language, there's a lot of layers to it. Reading comprehension, you know, phonetics. So then there's understanding, you know, the patterns of sounds. Then there's understanding the meaning. Then there's even being able to recognize what symbol is what, and so on and so forth. In grammar, there's a lot going on. And Hebrew is no different. Okay. Shalom, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah, Barakatah. Young man Victor in the spot. Good to see you, bro. Okay. So yeah, Hebrew is no different. The only difference is that we're getting into the ancient Hebrew. We're understanding ancient, you know what I'm saying, properties. That's the only difference here. But still, we have to kind of dig deep to understand all of these different elements. Okay? So Yanazar, if you could, by the way, if there's any questions on Hebrew or anything, now you can just raise your hand, ask a question. Any questions online, you can, of course, ask questions. Even if it's off topic, if you have a question, you can ask it. If it won't take too much time from the class, and if I can, then I will answer it. If not, then we will write it down and we can answer it at a later date, either the next class or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But if you do have any questions, you go ahead and just type them into the chat. All right. So I'm just gonna be on the lookout for that. But in the meantime, we're gonna get started with these scriptures. Let me just make sure this door is locked. I know you probably did. I just, sure, yeah, we good. The water. Okay. Bro, yeah, give me that intro, that prologue to the book of Ecclesiastes. Right? Why do I read this almost every class? Why do I read this almost every class?
If I may, sir.
Please, Giannis.
We want people that's listening to know, how important this language is, to the resurrection.
Damn right.
Of our nation.
Absolutely.
And it is absolutely necessary.
Absolutely.
To learn this language and be Israel.
Damn right.
You can't be Israel without this language.
Most High in Christ. Well said. That's absolutely right. We want everybody to know the importance of the language, right? But furthermore, well, basically kind of just piggybacking off of that, this is important because as we say all the time, the culture of a people is where? It's in their language. How they talk tells you something about them. It absolutely does. It absolutely tells you something about them. It tells you about how they think, how they view the world. You understand? How they, perceive things. So we going back into this language, it's mostly important because it gets us back to who we are, to our nation. You understand? But the other part of it is that, well, if we study in this Bible, how are you going to study a bunch of people and don't know nothing about how they thought or how they talked or how they were, what they wore, what they ate, what they did? This language reveals many of those things, okay, about these people. So someone calls himself a Bible scholar and completely scoffs at Hebrew, they are a goddamn liar. They're a liar. Because if you really wanted to know what's happening in that Bible, you would pay attention to this. Okay? So read that when you can, Baba Kushah.
Khan.
Yeah, bro.
This is a portion of the prologue to the book of Ecclesiasticus. Wherefore, let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention.
Does it say favor or fervor?
It says favor.
Okay, favor. No sweat. Treat it with favor. Go ahead.
And attention. And to pardon us, wherein we may seem to come short of some words.
Right.
Because which we have labored to interpret.
Right. They've labored to interpret it. And he said himself that, pardon us when we may come short on some words. Go ahead.
For the same things uttered in Hebrew.
The same things uttered in Hebrew. Go ahead.
And translated into another tongue.
Right. And then it's been translated to another language. Go ahead.
Have not the same force in them.
It just doesn't have the same force. It just doesn't have the same effect. Simple and plain. We've broken this down numerous times. If you read a Bible, a 1611 King James Bible, which we read in the Isupk, which is the closest translation, the closest English translation to the original scrolls, the original Hebrew. Is it perfect? No, right? There's some issues in there, right? Just like the brother said right here. They labored, but they fell short of some words.
If I may,
please,
if we could remind all those listeners that when you read the prologue, you learn that they labored for 3 whole generations. The grandfather, the father, and they labored. They really did labor. That's how difficult it was.
Damn right, and still came short of some words. You understand? King James commissioned what, 40 scholars?
47
scholars in order to translate from the original.
Yeah, it took them like 7 years.
And that's with 40 people doing it. You understand? This cat didn't have 40 people under his tutelage helping him translate. You know what I'm saying? His team was a lot smaller, so it took a longer time. His grandfather had started it, if I'm not correct. Yeah, if I'm correct, Slack. His grandfather started it, then his father passed it down to him, and then he finished it. Okay? Read that part again.
For the same things uttered in Hebrew
Mm-hmm.
and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them.
Mm-hmm.
And not only these things, but the law itself,
Right.
and the prophets,
Mm-hmm.
and the rest of the books have no small difference when they are spoken in their own language.
In other words, this entire Bible, you want to get the Hebrew to get a proper understanding. Drop that. Give me Psalms 83. Because how can we follow the generations? So something like 100 years, the generations. Yeah, probably between it was some time. I'm not sure if it was quite 100 years or exactly how much time, but it was his grandfather who started the work translating it. It was his grandfather who started it, and he had to finish it. His father didn't really work on it too much, but he had it and passed it down to him. It was a whole bunch of writings. Okay, you got that out?
The
reason why I read this scripture is what? To show our people, now I'm talking specifically the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, to show our people the importance of this. Read that, and we're going to connect that with Zephaniah 2:1. Go ahead, Ak.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 83, verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O God.
Mm-hmm.
Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult,
Mm-hmm.
and they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 3.
So King David's pleading with the Lord, right, to do something because his enemies are, they've become active. You understand? Read on.
Verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
So the Lord has a people, right? We know that. The Lord's people is who? The Israelites, right? They've taken crafty counsel against the Israelites. Go ahead.
And consulted against thy hidden one.
And they've consulted against his hidden one. So they got a plan. They're devising something against his hidden people. Go ahead.
Verse 4. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation.
Read that again.
Let us cut them off from being a nation.
This is the kicker right here. This is how these other nations decided to get at the Most High. They decided to get at the Most High by plotting against his people. And their plan, their grand scheme for destroying his people was to do what? Cut them off from what?
Being a nation.
To cut them off from being a nation. We've looked up the definition of nation numerous times. A nation is a collection of people who are bound or tied together by what? By common ancestry or lineage, meaning they're actually blood related, right? Common ancestry, right? Common history, common culture, common land, and what else? Common language. So it says cut them off from being a what?
From being a nation.
So that means they have to cut them off from what? From their land. They have to cut them off from what? From their culture. They have to cut them off from what? From knowing their lineage. They have to cut them off from what? From knowing their language. Right? Any more?
That the name of Israel.
That the name of Israel, right? So the name Israel, right? And remember, name doesn't just mean name. It also means reputation, right? But the name of Israel, no one knows this anymore. Oh, Salakia, let me get rid of this joint so y'all can see better. Salakia, I always forget to take that down for the class. I'm gonna take down this banner as well so y'all can see it if I can. Babu Shah, let me see. Boom. Yeah, I'm taking down the overlay just so y'all can see the board clearly. Salakia. So this word right here, this ain't familiar to people. No one knows what this is. We didn't grow up seeing this. You know what I mean? We didn't grow up seeing that at all. But we should have been able, to a black, Hispanic, or Native Indian, that should have been immediately recognizable. That right there should be recognizable immediately. A black, Hispanic, or Native Indian should have this on their book bag when they go to kindergarten. They should have this you know what I'm saying, on their binder or whatever that kids take to school these days. I don't know what the hell they take. You know what I mean? They should have this, you know what I'm saying, on different symbols on their walls and stickers and things like that as they grow up. What does this mean? What does this say? What is this word? You know? Spell it out. Remember, Hebrews from right to left. Anybody in the chat, if y'all can see that word in the top left corner. What is that word? This goes back to the scripture we're reading, because Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians should know this from birth, damn near. But we don't. We don't know this. Some of us don't know this ever. We die without knowing this. Most High in Christ. Get a young man a hand. The young man said, Yasha Allah. Right? Yasha Allah. Right? Which means Israel. That's what that is. It's amazing and sad that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians do not immediately recognize that word, because that is what they are. If I could write a whole I could write Black. I can write Negro. All this is recognizable. Hispanic. Latino. Salakia, shoot. I can write Californian. I can write American. And all of this is immediately recognizable to us. Right? Indian. And we're not even, you know what I'm saying, from India. But some people still associate our Gadai brothers with Indian or Native Indian, right? But this word will be recognized. You understand? And then let's not even talk about all the bywords. But these are all bywords, Salakia. These are all bywords. But let's not talk about some of the more common ones that we're called, like nigger, spick, wetback. I think I butchered that spelling. Well, yeah, a little bit. But I knew what you meant. There's no sweat. Right? We should know this. Now read the scripture again. Yanazar, if you could, Baba Kusha. And let's see why we know Black, Negro, Hispanic, Latino, Californian, American, Indian, nigger, spick. Why do we know all that but not this? Read it again.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 83, verse 4. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
That the name of Israel may be no more remembrance. And damn, I'll be damned if they did not accomplish it. They accomplished it. They got it done. That's one thing you cannot say about the heathens, about specifically these devils, right? One thing you cannot say about them is that they cannot accomplish things. They are wickedly, you know what I'm saying, capable. In the most wicked fashion, they get things done. You understand? And they got it done. Read on.
Verse 5. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee.
Drop that. Give me Zephaniah 2 and 1. Let's get into this Hebrew. So they cut us off. The plan was, let us cut them off from being a nation. Now let's prove to Nana and Auntie whatever, you know what I'm saying, and Grandpa Joe. That's the devil, right? From Willy Wonka. I'm sure there's a brother with a Grandpa Joe, but still, right? Let's prove to them that this is absolutely biblical, what we do in this class. And not only it is necessary, we have to do it. In fact, we are commanded to do it. We're going to prove it in the Bible. Go ahead, Doc.
This is the book of Zephaniah, chapter 2, verse 1. Gather yourselves together.
The Bible said do what?
Gather yourselves together.
The Lord said do what?
Gather yourselves together.
Gather yourselves together. Go ahead.
Yea, gather together, O nation.
Oh, what?
O nation.
No, O congregation.
O nation.
O church.
O nation.
Oh, some stupid word that silly big hat wearing women think they are.
O nation.
O nation. So what is a nation again? They're tied by common ancestry. They're tied by common culture, common history, common language. So it says, read it from the top.
Gather yourselves together.
Uh-huh.
Yea, gather together.
Right.
O nation, not desire.
So we're supposed to gather together as what? As a nation. Maybe if the people in that church in Charleston, South Carolina knew that, what happened to them wouldn't have happened to them, because they wouldn't have been trying to gather with other nations. If they understood who they were, if they knew what this was, then maybe that wouldn't have happened, right? We are supposed to gather together as a nation. And the ISUPK and the Commander General Yohana, we've been doing this since 1969, doing our best to make sure that our people come back together. That is literally our job. We do it every day. Every day we hold classes to teach our people. We hold a Monday class to teach our people about a history they didn't know was theirs. A Tuesday class to show our people about laws that pertain to brotherhood that they didn't know was about them. Wednesday law class, laws that they didn't know was about them. Scripture breakdown so they can get an understanding of their own records. And we have a Friday Lashawan Qadash class so they can understand that they have a language. And this is how it's spoken. All right? Drop that. Most High in Christ. Now that we've done that, again, so now let's get into this quick alphabet review. You know, Yanazar. Well, let's review this real quick from last week, very quick, right? We decided to do a funny little thing here with the elements. My brother said that Earth, Wind, and Fire was one of the greatest bands of all time. I got to go back and listen to them cats. I have to, right? Yanazar, you got a cup? A cup? Yeah, there's a little bit of. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. If you want, real quick, you do your thing, because I mean, yeah. If you want to, huh? Yeah, it'll take me 2 minutes. Yeah. If you want to just take a quick second and you want to get some, yeah, you good to go. You got the key on you? Yeah, let's lock it behind you. So real quick, we went over these elements, right? Now, don't take this, it doesn't mean much. They don't take this to mean anything kind of metaphysical or special. We just learning some new words. And the word element is used to describe these things. So the first one we learned, of course, was the word for water, right? This word mayum, right? It's very interesting, right? Because the word mayum, also the word for sea or ocean, is yum. And we see that yum is in mayum, right? There's a connection here with waters. This is a general word for water, right? Whereas this yum here is specifically talking about a body of water, okay? The sea or the ocean, okay? Mayum here, you can have a glass of water, and it's mayum. You would not have a glass of water and call it yum. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. We say in the Hebrew, how do we say the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew? Abanawa Shabbat Shemayim Qadash Haya Shamka Yahweh Malak with Ka Taba'ah Atzayka Haya Aisha Ba'arataza Kawa Haya Bashemayim Liftam Lanawa Lacham Lacham Cow Yawam, which means what? Lacham Cow Yawam. Absolutely. That's exactly what it means. Lacham means bread, cow means every, and Yawam means day. So bread every day, or daily bread. Mm-hmm. Right. We can look up some if you would like to do that. We can look up some common words, some common foods like milk, bread. I don't know about apple. I'm not too sure on Apple, but you know what I'm saying. But I don't know. Apple's I'm not too sure about because again, I don't even know. I mean, I assume it would be, but I can't tell you. I'm not too familiar with that particular word. I don't know if I've ever seen it, but I'm sure there is a Hebrew word for it that we could look up. Okay, the water, bro. So, the interesting thing about Mayum is, and we discovered this. What's the word for heaven or heavens? What's the word for heavens? Yeah, that. Shemayim. Right? Notice again that we have this word Mayum in it because the heavens are also what? They are called waters in the Bible. Right? There's waters above and there's waters below. Which is why if you notice, whenever you hear anything talking about space exploration, what is it compared to? What is it like? What are some of the properties of being in space? What can't you do in space? Get out.
You can't breathe.
You can't breathe. Where else can't you breathe?
Underwater.
Underwater. You understand? In space, right? You essentially float. Which is why every time they show something in space, you watch a movie and some guy ends up flying out the damn spacecraft or whatever, they're just kind of floating. Because it's like it's essentially water above. That's exactly what it is. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what it's like to be in space. I don't want to imagine what it's like to be in space without a spacesuit. But I could only imagine that it's something like being underwater. You know what I'm saying? And I know many of my brothers and sisters, have, some of y'all can swim. I ain't one of them. You know what I'm saying? And I can only hold my breath for so long, right? But yeah, so we see a connection between words in that way. Hebrew works that way, where a lot of times you'll see a word within a word because they connect to each other. You know what I'm saying? They have a relationship, right? The sea, right? So all water comes from the sea or the ocean, essentially. All water on earth, right? The earth is what? It's 75% water, right? Even rain. Rain is not like coming down from nowhere. Rain is, from water that's condensed and, you know what I'm saying, forms clouds and things like that and comes back down. It's a cycle, right? And in the heavens above is Shemayim. All right. Then we did earth. Now we know another word for earth is what? Aratazah. But what is the difference? Why do we use this word? Why do we use Adamah instead of Aratazah? Yeah, Doc.
Because Adamah means the whole earth. Means land or soil.
Right. That's the difference.
Right.
Aratazah means the earth or the land that we walk on, the planet, right? Or it can mean land. There's times when Aratazah means the land of something, right? But when we're talking about the elements, when it's used in that way, is you have water and earth. We're talking about like the ground, like the soil, right? Adamah means that, right? Adam's name is in here. Okay? It's a metaphor. It just means, because he was brought up from the dust of the ground, right? But he actually, some fake Israelites think that like the Lord like took dirt nuggets and like made Adam. Yeah, that was a dobro. That's what fake Israelites think. Fake Israelites think that the Lord put his hands in the ground and like a mud, like what's the we call it the joint that spins, Yeah, whatever the heck. They think he made a man like that, when that's not what it means. That he was formed of the dust of the ground. That's not what that means. But Adamah means earth in that sense. And then for air or wind, we did Nashama, right? Nashama, as opposed to using even using Shemayim, right? Because you can say Shemayim because birds, the scriptures say the birds flew through the air, right? And they use the word Shemayim. But in that sense, it's talking about the bird flying through the sky. Okay, Shalom up. Right? The birds flying through the sky, or the heavens, right? But it's not talking about the air you breathe, right? You breathe in. That word is nashama, which means like breath or breathing. It's what you breathe, okay? And then, of course, the word for fire is ash, right? Which sounds like ash, right? See the connection between these things, okay? Most High in Christ. So I would take a picture of this. We might be able to use some of these. You understand? With some of the stuff we're about to learn about with prefixes and such. Okay? So now, Yanazar, if you could, Baba Kusha. The alphabet. Okay. Most High in Christ. All right, bro. Ancient and Assyrian. Let's you know what? Here's the thing. Let's do it like this, right? I'm gonna divide it on this side. I'm gonna divide because I want to leave a little space. We're gonna put the prefixes here, right? So if you could, Bam Kusha, if you're capable, which I know you're capable, let's see if we can't do it both of them on this side, right? What we're gonna end up doing is we're gonna end up erasing the ancient, because Salakia, no matter how much y'all love using the ancient, we gotta read this Assyrian. I mean, I say it every class, but the Assyrian is not going anywhere. We have got to learn to read it. All right. So the brother's gonna do the ancient on the left side, and then he's gonna do the Assyrian on this side. All right. And as I always say, pay attention to the letter form, how he's writing it. This next thing we're getting into should help us with identifying just certain properties that'll help us read better. That's really the key here. We want to be able to read it. That is like, if there was anything, one thing to take away from this class, it's about reading, right? Now, we discuss a lot of topics. Like I said, we discuss grammar. We discuss phonetics. We discuss, spelling and letter form and word meaning. We discuss a lot of things. But the main objective is to be able to have a Tanakh in front of you and read it. So again, we've had the privilege, because we've been doing reviews of the alphabet, we've had the privilege of seeing this ancient a lot. I remember there was a point a couple months back when we was really getting deep. You know what I'm saying? We was really into getting some complex stuff, and we did not look at the ancient for probably a month damn near. You know what I'm saying? For nothing more than just a quick review, right? We had the privilege, we've been looking at it and using it a lot lately because I wanted to get back to actually seeing the letters and get away from some of the grammatical stuff. Okay, but now we're going back. We're going back to getting real technical. Okay, so as we see, and I'm gonna go ahead and write the transliterations underneath. All right, so everybody sees. Of course, shout out to Officer Yanazar with the impeccable penmanship. Take your time, bro. All right. So while he's doing that, let's get started on this side. All right. Y'all ready? We'll do this all in together now. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Ah, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ka, ta, ya. Why do I feel like I'm by myself? I don't hear. Wait a minute. I know I'm not bugging. Maybe I'm deaf. Let's try again from the top. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Ah, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ka, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, I, pa, taza, kwa, ra, sha, tha. Take it away, sis. You go ahead.
Wa, za, ka, ta, ya, ka, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sai, I, pa, taza, kwa, ra, sha, tha.
GP, it's on you.
Ah, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ka, ta. Did I say that ka right? Or yeah, that sounds. I can't do that. That sounds like I'm trying to spit. Like, wait, which ka is softer? But that don't make sense. How does that one? But that got two A's. Wouldn't you think that's the harder ka? Hmm. Mm. Ka. I'm gonna have to practice on that one. Ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, a, pa, taza, kwa, ra, sha, tha.
That's that ancient that we, of course, the water, bro, that we, of course, don't get to see as often as we would like. Okay. This is really what we got to focus on. This right here. Okay. We got to focus on this. Why? Because this is what we read in the Tanakh. This is what we read in Blue Letter. This is what we read for the Sabbath service. Okay. So, matter of fact, for now, bye bye, ancient. We're going to utilize the Assyrian for probably the remainder of today's class, almost exclusively. Okay. So again, So we earlier we wrote this word that everybody should know, right? That we all should know. This word right here, we wrote it in ancient. What is this word again? What is this word again? Oh, Salakia, bro, I didn't see your question. Salakia, so how do you spell that? Land of something? Okay. I'll show you right now. You with me? One second. Right. So if you go to the book of Genesis, go to Genesis chapter 2, verse 11. Genesis chapter 2, verse 11. If you go to Genesis chapter 2, verse 11, and you go to, of course, the blueletterbible.org, right? Click on tools so you can see the Hebrew. We're actually going to read the whole thing in Hebrew, right? Real quick. All right. So again, go to blueletterbible.org, type in Genesis chapter 2, scroll down to verse 11. Let's click on tools and you'll see it. And again, here's the beauty of Blue Letter Bible. If you see, they got these disgusting, nasty vowel markings that are not original Hebrew. It's just nasty to look at. You can go ahead and just click. You see right there, it says show vowel points. Right? You can click on that. It's a little check, and it'll get rid of it. And now you don't got to see that garbage. All right? That's beautiful. So now we'll read it. The book of Genesis, chapter 2 and verse 11. Shum ha'akad, payashwan, hawa'ah, hasabab, af, kal, arataza, hakawayala, ashar, shum, hazahab. Okay? So now it says in English, the name of the first is Pison, that is it which compasseth the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. Right? Now, where it says the whole land of Havilah, let's actually use this Assyrian so we can identify it. You'll see it says Slakia. My bad, it's the end of the. I don't know if y'all can see it, but Salakia. Now, if we were, so I'm still answering the brother's question, right? The brother asked, how do you spell it? Yeah, the word is aratiza, but I'm showing you how to spell it, right? How do you get that from the Hebrew spelling? So if we were to say this, it says what? Cow. Help me out. Cow. What is this word? Now arataza, and this is the word we say ha kawayala, right? Cow means, so do it like this. Cow means every or all or the entire. And this is, of course, ra, tazah, right? You're just taking, if we were to do it like this, you're just taking the phonetic. That's a ka, that's a la, that's a ah, that's a ra, that's a tazah. This is a ha. This is like it. This is a ha. Wa. It's like a ya. My bad. Not enough space. This is a la. This is a ha. You don't got to worry about this word so much. The point here is the whole land. Cow, from the ka and the la, and they're connected to make cow, and the ah, or ra, and a tazah with no connectors. Or ra tazah means whole land. Here, this means land. Cow or ra tazah, ha kawayala, right? The whole land of Hakawayala, the whole land. Aratazah is the word for land. Okay, and that's why we differentiated that with the other word, which meant earth. Because again, meant earth in that context. Hebrew is not like English. In English, you say earth, and then you also say earth. You say, the planet Earth. But then you also say earth, wind, and fire, right? One is the planet. One is talking about the element of soil or ground. You understand? Or conceptually, right? But in Hebrew, we have different words to represent things that might be related, but that are different. So here, when you see Aratazah means a land of, I think it was, let me spell it right. Is it Havilah? Havila? Yeah. Havila. Havilah. Right? The land of Havilah. So you can say, is learning a new phrase, right? So now that we know this, you can say, Kal Aratazah Durham. Kal Aratazah Yarashalom. What's that? Jerusalem. The whole land of Jerusalem. The whole land of Uz. The whole land of whatever place. Right? Please. Yeah, this is a wa. So it's a ha, a cha, a wa, a ya, a la, and a ha. I didn't have enough space, so I know it looks all funky. Right? Ha hawayala. Ha hawayala. Right? But it's the land of it. But at the same time, Aratazah can also mean what? The whole earth. How do we know that? Because what does it say in Genesis chapter 1 and verse 1? And it says, Bara'ashayath, Bara'ah, Alahayim, Ath, Ha Shemayim, right? The heavens, like we discussed earlier, Ha Shemayim, Wa'ath, Ha Aratazah. Ha Aratazah. In that sense, it means the entire planet. Also, Salak Yadawan, could the English translation of world in the Bible be what confuses people? What do you gotta describe what you mean? What do you mean? Does the English translation of world in the Bible confuse people? The English translation of world in the Bible is not incorrect. So I'm trying to understand exactly what you mean. Because I think you might be talking about John 3:16, but that word, again, it is proper English. It's just that English doesn't really have, a better singular word to say there. You feel me? But world is not incorrect in that sense. It's just that it's people who don't get it. It's people who don't know how to read the scriptures. So the Lord absolutely, there's nothing wrong with John 3:16. John 3:16 says, for God so loved the world. He does. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. This is absolutely true. The problem is that the word world has many meanings depending on the context. You know what I'm saying? So that's the issue on that one. Con. I hope that answered the brother's question. You know what I'm saying? Now, let's use this. Matter of fact, let's go to Genesis 1:1. Let's go to Genesis 1:1 and let's see something there that we're going to start to use. Somebody got it? Genesis 1:1. Could you actually read it in the Hebrew, brother? If you got the no, I got it. That's right. I'll read it in the Hebrew, right? Genesis 1:1. Then I'm gonna have you read it in the English, if you could, Baba Shah. Again, bara ashayath, bara alahayim ath hashamayim wa'ath ha aratiza. Now we just learned that the word aratiza means land, or it could mean earth, as in the entire planet. So what in the hell does this mean? And what in the hell? The word for beginning is Ra A Shayath. It's like Ra Shayath. So what in the hell is bara ashiyath? One more second. And then the word for heavens, Most High in Christ. Then the word for the heavens, right? Right? Is, as we discussed before, is shamayim. Right? Sha. My bad. It's Shemayim. That's the word for heavens, right? Aratazah means earth. Ra'ashayath means beginning or the start of something. And Shemayim means heavens. So what is these extra letters? Because on Shemayim it says Ha Shemayim. What are these extra letters here tacked on at the beginning of these words? Now, it's just pure context. Christians don't know how to read. Yeah, bro.
If I may, sir. And the Aratazah, the Ha is the, and the Ba, Ra'ashayath, the Ba is in, and in Hashemayim, the heavens.
Wait a minute, so you telling me that this one letter here is a word?
Kanawan Khan.
And this letter here is a word?
Kanawan Khan.
And this letter here is a word?
Kanawan Khan.
How can that be? How can that be?
They're called pronouns. No, not pronouns.
Not pronouns. I know where you're going.
Prefixes.
Prefixes.
Yeah, prefixes.
Right? Simple. These are prefixes. Let's try another one. We'll leave that. How about this? Let's go to 1 second. Let's see. Bear with me. Salakia. No, I don't want this one. Salakia. We'll run with this for now. So this ha is actually a prefix that represents what is called in grammar a definite article. This ba represents the Hebrew equivalent used in this context of the word in, which in grammar is what? What part of speech is the word in? What part of speech, what grammatical part of speech is the English word in or on?
It's a noun.
Mm-mm.
A verb.
Mm-mm.
In.
It is a preposition.
Right.
Give her a hand. Damn right. Right. In is a preposition. Right? On is a preposition. Right? Let's look up what a preposition is before we get into a bunch of these prefixes. And with a lot of these funky words like preposition and things like that, you know, you can easily kind of get an understanding of it by understanding the etymology. So while you're looking up the definition of preposition, I'm gonna go to the etymology to see the breakdown. And you'll see why we tend to call these prefixes in Hebrew prepositions. Anybody got that definition of preposition? Okay.
Preposition, a word governing and usually preceding a noun.
And usually what?
Usually
Mhm.
a word governing.
A word governing, go ahead.
And usually preceding.
And usually preceding means what? Coming before. Go ahead.
A noun or pronoun.
Mm-hmm.
And expressing a relation to another word or element in the clause.
In the clause, right? Now, if we go look at the etymology of the word preposition, it says late 14th century preposition in grammar, indeclinable part of speech regularly placed before and governing a noun in an oblique case and showing its relation to a verb, adjective, or other noun. From Latin, prepositionum, nominative prepositio, which means a putting before, a prefixing. Okay? Noun of action from past participle step of proponere, put before. From pre, meaning before, and ponere, put or set place. Right? So if you actually look up what a preposition, the actual like literal definition of the word preposition, it just means to put before. So almost every prefix, if you were to say that this ha is a preposition, in terms of grammar or parts of speech, that's incorrect because it's a definite article. But in terms of its positioning in the word, in both English and Hebrew, you could call this a preposition. That's why whenever we do this, you always see us we'll say prepositions prepositions. And then I'll say also prefixes, because really it means the same thing, right? It's just one of those funky things where a preposition doesn't always mean that, but it means that. Okay, so these prepositions, let's learn them. Anybody remember them all? Mm-hmm.
Ba, da, ma, ya,
Mm-hmm.
ka, la, ma, sha, ba.
Con. And what was the first one you said?
The ah
And what does that mean?
is I.
The Assyrian. It's a prefix that has to always be like this. Shot. Con. And the ah means I, or I am, right? Which we discussed before about how that particular is used. Okay, it's not a pronoun. Okay, it's not used to replace a noun. It's more used to tack on to a verb. You know what I'm saying? In a certain kind of way. It's not the same thing as a pronoun. All right, we'll get into that later. The ba means in, or what? It can also mean on, right? But it means in. Da, do, right? And then of course the ha, we talked about the definite article means the. The wa, a very, very used one, means what? And. Right? Then the ya means what? The ya means he or his. We'll just say he for now. The ka, Salakia, as or like. Or in similar fashion. The la means what? To or for. As we discussed yesterday when we talked about the word adamah, we recalled in the prayer how we say what? Daman la adamah, which means daman means dung, right? Or fertilizer. La adamah, to or for the soil, for the ground, for the earth. Okay? The ma is going to be of or from. Wait a minute, now that starts to make a lot more sense, right? We can see that in action in a second. And then the sha is going to mean whom, which, that or pertain to. Whom, which, that, or pertaining to. Okay. Because that ma, right? Like, we realize this. Like, don't it make sense now? Doesn't the Hebrew kind of have like it's just this perfectly symmetrical language? What does this word mean? Water. The sister said it, right? This means water. What does this word mean? Okay, my bad.
Water or sea?
Sea or ocean. So now, knowing what we know about prepositions or prefixes, if we broke the word mayum down, what is it really saying? What is mayum? Yum is the sea.
From water, right?
From the ocean.
From the ocean, right?
From the sea. You understand? That's how it connects. So we think of water that's in your glass or in your jar or that comes from the rain or whatever. It literally is from the sea. It's from the ocean. This is the sources of all the waters. You know what I'm saying? And this works in a lot of other ways, right? It is very, very important. Again, let's go to a scripture and see this at work. Let's go to, bear with me. Let's stay in Genesis. Right. Let's go to Genesis chapter 1 and verse 2. Let's read that. You want to take a stab at it in the Hebrew? Well, I know you can read it, but go ahead.
Salakia. Waha'aratazah hayatha vahawa wabahawa wakashak al panya vahawum wairawak alahayam Rama Salakia Marath.
That would be Waraka, but you know what?
Oh yeah. Rathapah. Marathapak. Path. Al-Panya.
Marakapah.
Hamayam.
Mm-hmm. Right. Now, how many prefixes are in this sentence? The first sentence is wa ha aratazah. We know that this word, again, is a root word, base word, meaning land or earth. But here it says wa ha aratiza. What does that mean? Yeah, Yanazor. Right. And it's now 3 words. It went from 1 word to and the earth. And look at our list. The wa means and. The ha means the. And the earth. Right? Read on. I'll read on Waha Arataza. Hayatha. Go ahead. Actually, no. It's the word is changed, but it's not a prefix. It's just like what's the word? Conjugated, but it's not a prefix. Mike.
Hayatha, Fahawa, Wabahawa.
That's one right there. And void, Bawa or Bahawa means void. This says Wa Bahawa, which means and void. Go ahead.
Wakashak.
Kashak, right? Kashak we used before. It can mean black or darkness. Kashak, right? And it says Wakashak and darkness. Go ahead.
Al Panya. Fahawum. Warawak. Warawak. Alahayam.
Waraka.
Rawaka. Kan. Rawaka.
Waraka. It's like this. Look at it like I'll get rid of this.
It's like with what is it?
One thing
lawyer, like with lawyer, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly like lawyer. And one thing that might be confusing you is I think that we have a copy of the prayer that's not correct. It says Rawaka when it's Raka, if I'm not mistaken. So it's right. It's like Raka. Raka. Okay? Which means spirit. Go ahead.
Alahayam.
Alahayam.
Con. Marakapath. Kapath. Marakapath. Alpanya. Hamayam.
Right. The last one, again, Mayum means water, but it says Hamayum. What's that mean?
The water.
The water. The water. Okay? It's important to be familiar with these. Why? What's a crucial reason why knowing this will help you? This, you're going to see this at the beginning of damn near every, when you read in the Hebrew, in the Tanakh, you're going to see, or in the Blue Letter, you're going to see this in front of almost every verse. Sorry, slack you. What does that mean? I know you know, Yanazar. Waya Amar. What does that mean? Any idea? What do we know based on what can we infer? Waya Amar. Let's get a scripture. Go to Genesis chapter 4 and verse 6. Let's read it in English first. Mm-hmm. Can I read it in English first?
And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen?
Right. And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth, and why is thy countenance fallen? Now we're going to read it in the Hebrew. Waya Amar, Yahweh, Al Quayan, Lama, Kara, Laka, Walama, Napola, Panyaka. I'll make sure that last one might be. No, it is Panyaka, I believe. So now I ask again, Waya Amar. What does that mean? The sentence begins, and the Lord said unto Cain. What could it be saying? It says, Waya Amar, and then afterwards it says,
Yahweh. It's saying, and he said, Yahweh, to Cain.
Right. So Waya Amar means,
and he said.
Right? Because the Wa means end. Got that figured out. End. My bad. End. The Yah here means what? He. Right? And like I said, it's not a pronoun in the traditional sense. Well, the Yah is still not a pronoun. It's what's the word? There's a word for it. I can't think of it. I can't think of it right now. It's not a pronoun. You know what I'm saying? It's a different I think it's an adverb, something like that. I can't think of it, but it's not a pronoun, but it's basically connected to a verb, telling you that this action was performed by something, right? It's a prefix, but there's another word that's just slipping my mind right now to describe a word that is like a pronoun, but is specifically used to in its action upon a verb. A pronoun replaces a noun. This is different, right? But it says, and he, and what is Amar? The root word or the verb means what? To say, right? To say, right? Or to pronounce, to utter, right? The bars means more so to speak, like speech. Waya Amar is almost like to declare or to make a statement. Waya Amar, and he said, Yahweh. Now that may sound backwards, right? But we know that Hebrew doesn't function like English in that regard. In English is a specific or a proper order between the verb and the noun that doesn't exist in Hebrew. You can say it either way. You know what I'm saying? Either way is this the same thing. So if I was to say, let me think of a phrase. I could say, man of war, right? I can say man of war, but if in Hebrew, now in English, it sounds weird to say, man war. Sounds weird, right? But in Hebrew, it doesn't work like that. Man war and war man is the same thing, right? So if I say, black man in Hebrew. I can say black man or man black, and it's the same. It means the same thing. So here, Waya Amar Yahweh is just saying, and he said, the Lord, right? As opposed to saying, and the Lord said, is saying, and he said, the Lord, that's the person who said it, and he said, the Lord, and you read on, it says, Al Quayun, which means what? To Cain. Cain's name is Quayun in Hebrew. Okay? But just look at knowing these prefixes, how much they can help us read. Because if we know that this wa in front of a word often is going to mean and, this ha in front of a word is often going to mean the, that the ya is often going to mean he, I think at times it can also mean she, that the ba is going to mean in, and so on and so forth. What that does for us is now it helps us identify the root, and we can flesh it out more. What do I mean by that? Let me help you out. Right here we have the word aratiza, waha aratiza, right? Waha aratiza. Right now, in this particular case, all of this, there's no connectors here, obviously. But knowing this, you understand, when we see this word, we won't even think to say wa arataza. We won't think to say so try to connect the wa and the ya or something like that. Or if we see ba arataza, we're not going to say bar rataza or something like that. We're going to know instinctively when we see this prefix. If I see a ya at the beginning, if I see a la, as in say la adama, right? Like we talked about. If I see la adama, salakia, I have enough space, la adama, I can instinctively already say, wait a minute, I know this la could be a prefix, which means this could be its own word, right? Which will help me visualize as I think about, oh, I know that word adama. It's la adama, right? It's la adama, to this or for this. You understand? It just simply just makes it makes it more visible for us as we read it. It makes it more visible for us to kind of break down what we're seeing. And we see the same thing when we get to talking about possessive adjectives. It's the same thing. Knowing that the ka at the end of a word helps us quite a bit. So I may say something like, so this is land or earth, right? So let's see. Let's think of a noun, right? Let's think of a noun. Let's think of a, okay. Let me make sure I spell this right. What is that word? Salakia. What do those words mean? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Use the mic.
Top one. In his or in he Ra wa Shalom. Oh,
This is what
in Jerusalem.
There you go. Give him a hand.
In Jerusalem.
In Jerusalem. Right? Now we know the prefixes. Pause. It would be weird to say in he. Right? So then we can start to infer of what is most likely, you know. I've never seen that. I mean, I'm sure it might be in the scriptures, but I've never seen it. Those two prepositions used in that order, right? You'll see and the together, in the together, because that makes sense, right? Yara wa shalom, even I believe it might be pronounced Yara shalom, right? Similar to, like we said, Loya and Raka. It might be Yara shalom. Ba Yerushalayim, in Jerusalem. Now that we know that, now we keep reading and we see the next one. What are we going to say? What are we going to think? We see this combination of letters. We saw that one before. Now we see this next one. What comes to mind? Yeah, that.
From Jerusalem.
Right, because we're familiar with that collection of letters. And now we know, wait a minute, this is a root word. This is a word by itself. So this is a word by itself. This is a word by itself. It's the same word. And these are 4 different words that do what? We read about what a preposition does. They act on the noun and their relationship to the rest of the sentence. So I can be bara shalom in Jerusalem. I'm also what? Mara shalom from Jerusalem. I'm going la Yerushalayim to Jerusalem. And you know, the new kingdom will be ka Yerushalayim, like Jerusalem, or as Jerusalem. It will be Jerusalem, but you get the picture. You know what I'm saying? And we can use this with any noun, just about. That's the beauty of it. That's what helps us visualize this difference. Now, when we read in the Hebrew, in the Tanakh, we can automatically make an association between, or dissociate between these things. Because usually when you read in the Hebrew, your brain just kind of looks and you just see this one big blob of letters, right? But knowing, how this works, you got these prefixes, you got to be aware of them. Now I can start to be like, well, maybe this is a prefix. Okay, so when I look at it, instead of looking at it and going, Ba ya ra shalom. I'm going ba ra. Oh, this could be in. So let me let me think of it without that. Yara shalom, Jerusalem. I know that word. Ma. Wait a minute. Ma can mean from. Let me put that to the side. Yara Jerusalem. Right? And the same thing will happen with many different words. Like I said, we can use this with nouns, and we can also use it, use some of them. Again, because like I said, these are not all the same part of speech. We call them prepositions because of their positioning in the word, but they're not all grammatically the same thing. In is an actual preposition, okay? The is not. It's a definite article, okay? So there's that difference. But we can use these with nouns and verbs often, okay? So let's get another noun. What's another noun that we know? What's a Hebrew noun that we know? Right. That is a noun. So the same way we did ba Yerushalayim, we can say what? Ba Yasha'Allah. Ma Yasha'Allah. La Yasha. Don't we? Oh, wait a minute. What did I just say? Oh shit. No, it does. I'm gonna say it again. Y'all didn't catch that, did you? Now I'm gonna do it different this time. Ba Yasha'Allah. Ma Yasha'Allah. La Yasha'Allah. That's what that means. That's how we use it. And then we can say Ka Yasha'Allah. Right? Knowing these will just completely transform the way we are looking at it on the page. And when we learn the suffixes, right, which we might maybe spend the last 20 minutes doing, that well, I don't know if I want to do that. That'll definitely drive us home when we see it. So in order to understand this, we have to understand this concept of root words. What is a root word? Does anybody know what a root word is?
Salakia,
Yeah, that.
if I may, the root word is the word that it sprang forth from, or is the like it says, the root of the word,
Right.
where the word come from.
Right. There's another word for it. You're absolutely correct, Doc. But let's see what that other word is. I'm trying to remember from Spanish class all those years ago. So the definition of a root word in linguistics: a root is the core of a word that is irreducible into more meaningful elements. In morphology, a root is a morphologically simple unit which can be left bare or to which a prefix or a suffix can attach, right? Right. That's like in a verb, you can call it the infinitive form, right? So just for grammatical sake, we can understand that the root can also be called, when it's a verb specifically, in English, infinitive. What does that mean? So am is a conjugated form of what verb? Am, I am, you are, she is, they are, we are. Those are conjugated. What is the infinitive or root form of am, are, and so on? No. I mean in English. In English. What is the infinitive or root form of the verb am, are? What is the base form that they come from? That's still conjugated. I am. You've attached a prefix to it. I am. She is. We are. They are. What is the form by itself? The infinitive of the verb. I is not a verb. I is a pronoun. Think about the verb. I am. You are. She is. What verb is that? See, I'm telling you, y'all didn't expect. I know y'all didn't expect to be in the Isupk Lashawan Qadash class and be going back to English class, grammar school. I know y'all didn't expect that, but that's my background, so that's what I'm using. Am. I am. What is the infinitive form of I am? Get out. Okay, the root form. The verb am. So am, are, is are conjugated forms of what verb? What is the root verb that these come from? It's not a verb. What is the verb? That's a verb, but that's not the one. What is the root form, the root verb that these three verbs come from? Am, are, and is are the conjugated, or let me get the word conjugated to help you understand. When I say it, y'all gonna be so mad. To conjugate is to give the different forms of a verb in an inflected language as they vary according to voice, mood, tense, number, and person, right? Because there's different tenses, and more importantly, there's different perspectives. First person is am. I am. I can't say I are, even though Prince said it. He said, you know that song, bro. You know what I'm saying? Baby, but I are. But anyways, but you're not supposed to say I are. I am, you are, she is, he is, we are, they are. What is the root verb that these come from that does not have a tense attached to it? It doesn't have a person attached to it, a perspective attached to it, a number attached to it. What is that root word? Give him a hand. It's the infinitive. So now you learn. There you go. Right. That is. So now we're learning some English stuff too. I'm telling you, we're going to be linguistics experts in this goddamn room. Go ahead, GP. It's totally fine, bro. No sweat, bro. Y'all engineer types be real proud of that math stuff. No sweat. You in my world now. So infinitive, right? So the infinitive of these is to be. It's the root. It's base. You can't break it down to any more common denominator. I don't even know who the hell was that they even said to be or not to be. Was it Aristotle? One of them cats. I don't know. Was it Shakespeare? No, my bad. It absolutely was Shakespeare. Actually, technically, it was Hamlet. Hamlet said it. Hamlet said to be or not to be. That is the question, right? Because what was he doing when he said it? Now I'm going into English for real. Why did Hamlet say to be or not to be? Yeah, why did he say that? What was he contemplating? Oh man. You want it. He was contemplating suicide. Exactly. Because his world was all jacked up. You know what I'm saying? His pops is dead. His mom is boning his uncle. It's all horrible. He's having horrible nightmares. So yeah, infinitive form. The root is a similar concept, right? Because again, the difference is that in Hebrew, it stays practically the same. If I was to write on the board, if I write B, right? If I write B, damn, I can't read. I'm talking all this Shakespeare stuff, and I can't even spell B. What? If I say B, right? Then I write M, R, is. Do they look similar at all? I mean, how would you even come to, how you got the verb to be? Where do you get M and R and is? But guess what? They do, but they're completely different words. But do you know who still has a hard time escaping the infinitive when they talk? Niggas. Niggas do. Because in our language, we don't change Amar. Amar is the root, it's the verb, it's going to stay there. We just put stuff around it to let us know what's going on. But we don't change Amar to some completely different spelled word that has nothing to do with the original. But niggas, what do they say? They don't say, I am chilling. I'll be chilling. Yeah. I'll be over there. I'll be over here. I'll be over there. You know what I'm saying? Where you be at? Who you be with? You see how that works? White people, yes, you are. It is. You know what I'm saying? But our language is a little bit more broken because this ain't us. We don't talk like this. You got something, GP? What about Moab? Well, when it comes to using this, Moab would actually be closer to us, even though Moab just can't talk at all. But remember, Moab is what? What are Moabites? Yes, but give me a word that would shock somebody to realize connects us to Moab. We're both this thing. Yes, Moabites are Hebrews. I'm saying Moabites are Hebrews. Ammonites are Hebrews, right? And even though that's even a misnomer because Hebrew is really just a language, but they descend from Eber like us. Again, if you look up the Moabite stone, put that in your Google machine and look up the Moabite stone. It's Hebrew on it. It's written in Hebrew. Moabites spoke Hebrew, right? Or a very close form of it originally. All right. We are related to them. Okay. We are more related. In fact, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't we calling ourselves in the 90s and 80s Asiatic black man? Yanazar? Brothers, we used to run around talking about, yeah, I'm an Asiatic black man. You know what I'm saying? Like again, that's not our brother. Okay, telling y'all we are what? Oh, you mean like the landmass? Right, yeah, you could say, yeah, like Asia, huh? Mm-hmm. Right, it's the whole another thing. But the point is that, yeah, so most other cultures don't, he's the devil, bro. He's the devil. You know what I mean? He is very different. And yeah, he's technically a Hebrew as well, but he is just off the rails, right? He's the one who implemented the whole one wife thing, right? Monogamy, mandated monogamy, when other nations don't do that. And other nations, they got their own problems. They definitely ain't us. But there's just certain things that only this devil just seems to just come up with some nonsense. That's just what he does, right? But yeah, so the point being, there's no connection between these really, like phonetically, or when you see it written down, it's like, how do you conclude this from this and that to that? Where's the connection between the two, right? Where is the connection? But in our language, that connection is a lot simpler, right? It's a lot simpler, okay? There are changes, right? That does take place. I'm not saying that it always stays exactly the same, but it just is not so, the variants are not so far off that you can't see a connection between them, okay? But yeah, this is called the infinitive. To be, to run, to go, to learn, right? And even in English, there are times when those things actually connect a lot better, right? For example, we say, I am learning. He learned, she learned, we learned. I'll be learning, right? But yes, that's the infinitive, and it's related to the root, right? But remember also, let's not forget that the root can also be oftentimes is a noun. In the case of a noun, right? Now it's a little more simplified, even in English. It's going to kind of work the same way, right? You don't have to worry about conjugating it, right? You just simply have to see it, know what's around it, and use it. And so with these, we can find, give me another noun. What's another noun? What's another thing? Oh, I got one. What about water? Right? You can be in water. You can be from water to the water or like water. Right? Fire. I don't want to be Ba'ash. You feel me? That would be terrible. To be it would be terrible to be Ba'ash. Right? Okay. No sweat. So we're gonna get more familiar with these, right? And the next thing we're gonna do is next week we're gonna get into the suffixes, right? And again, like I said, we're getting back into the complex stuff. That's the move. That's the movement we're making. Salaki. What the hell? That's crazy. No sweat. All right, we got about 5 minutes left. We got about 5 minutes left. So here's what we're gonna do. Shalakia. Should I just leave this? I'm trying to think. I'm gonna erase this, and let's just do the suffixes real fast. Just get them on the board, so that way next week we don't got to spend too much time kind of reintroducing it. We already have it up here. We already know where to go and what to do with it. And we'll do a whole crash course on the prepositions. We're going to get them down to a science. We're going to fully understand how they're used. Where's my blue? Now I'll stick with the red. No, where's the black? Here we go. Black. Adjectives are also known as what? Determiners. Somebody look up adjective. On this side. Go ahead and read that out.
A word belonging to one of the major form classes in any of numerous languages and typically serving as a modifier of a noun to denote a quality of the thing named, to indicate its quantity or extent, or to specify a thing as distinct from something else.
There we go. That's the crucial point right there. So what are they basically saying?
A red car.
Right. What is the significance of it being a red car?
It distinguishes from the blue car.
Right. And so you know what the hell I'm talking about.
Car.
Because if me and you go outside and I go, car, you're going to look at me and be like, nigga, what? What? Yeah, cars, they exist. They're out here. But if I say red car, white car, you know what I'm saying? Or what's another thing I could say? Gaparyat's car, Yanazar's car, right? To determine so that way you can know what I'm talking about, to distinguish it. Imagine if we had to live in a world where there was no determiners and no adjectives. Would there be no way to describe anything? There's no way to say, to differentiate this from that. I mean, we would be in a world of confusion, like the Temptations said, a ball of confusion. We wouldn't know what the hell we're doing. These suffixes and prefixes, they flesh out the language to make everything, you know, kind of make more sense, to kind of put things in the world, right? Salakia. Count. Bear with me. Who remembers what the ka means? Right now, we're talking about the ka as a suffix, meaning it goes at the end of a word. Or thy. Well, the reason why I say that is because remember, when you're reading this in that old Quaker English, you're not going to see the word your in the Bible at all. They didn't say that back then. Or maybe they did, but they didn't write it. They wrote thy. Right? So Yah. What does Yah mean at the end of a word? Banya Yasha'Allah. Right. Give her a hand. My. Basically let you know not to touch my, that's mine. Right? And of course we have Nawa, which means what? Right. We, us, or our. Okay. Yeah. We're going to make sense of all this. So these go at the end of a word. These go at the beginning of a word. Okay. Next week, we're going to do, like I said, a crash course. Don't let me forget. I'm going to leave this on the board. We're going to take this and we are going to understand each one of these to the T. And the same here. So that way, these are a little bit easier to understand. These are a little more specialized, actually. But we're going to understand this so well that when we see that in the Hebrew, when we see it in the Tanakh, we're going to start to do the thing we always said we wanted to do. We want to be able to read that Tanakh and not have to look at the translation in English. You understand what I'm saying? We want to be able to read a sentence in Hebrew and know what it's saying. This is what's going to help us do it. Understanding this and understanding this is going to be two of the major elements in helping us get there to where we read it in the Tanakh. Well, you're more, oh, that means da da da, which is where we're going. Is there any questions in the room? Okay, no sweat. Any questions online? The brother did have. There's no prefix for Shiach. I believe it's still Yah. I think it might be Nukan, Tha. But let me get back to you because I don't want to say that without certainty. Let me get back to you to confirm it. But I believe that when you, instead of saying Yah for he, I think it's Tha. But I do know that there are times when the Yah is used for she. That's why I said that. There are times in the Bible where that happens. But I think, like the brother said, Tha is often the prefix for she. But let me confirm, you know what I'm saying, that before anything. All right? No sweat. Salakia. No sweat. Salakia. What do I want to do? Oh, that's what I wanted to do. What does that mean? Means what? Our Father. How do you know? But how would you break it down? Get up. The Abba means something. What does Abba mean? You said father, right? Correct. Abba means father. So for the sake of our class, what is Abba in this sense? What would Abba be in this in here? We know Abba now means our father. Abba it would be what? What do we learn today? Y'all making me look bad. Abba means father. Abba Nawa means what? Our father. So in the context of what we learned today, the Nawa is what? The Nawa is a suffix, right? So the Abba is what? It's not a verb. You close. Noun, which is what? The root. That's what we're getting at here. The Abba is the root word. And as we read in the definition, it's the base form to which you can add suffixes and prefixes to make sense of it. Abba is the root. Now here is the adjective, the term, or the suffix. Okay? We have to kind of get this in our heads because, again, when we read, almost every time we see those words, which you're going to look at, it's very rare you're just going to see a root word just sticking out by itself. You're going to see a root word with a suffix here, and with a prefix here, and with two prefixes here, and with a suffix here, and things like that. And the more familiar we are with it and how we can hone in on the root, then we can start from there and see what's around it, and it will help us pronounce things. For example, Abanawa, right? If I didn't know that word, I might say Abunwa or something like that. Sounds like Hebrew. Sounds like it could be correct. But my first instinct is going to be what? I know that Abba is a word. It means father. I know that Nawa is a suffix. It means our. I'm going to assume when I read this that it's Abba Nawa. That's why sometimes you hear me say when I'm reading, I'll say, let me check the root word. Because then I'll go to blue letter and see, okay, this is the word to know which one to say, right? But if I'm reading and I see this combination of letters, my first instinct is going to be, that's probably Abenau. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we want to familiarize ourselves with this. Don't worry, next week like I said, we're going to do a crash course on this. We've discussed this many times. But what we're going to do is we're going to pause, we're going to dive deep. And so when we see this, we know how this works. You feel me? Okay, with that, I pass the class over to Priest and Officer Yanazor.
Security announcements. We are the ISUPK out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General Yohana. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they're off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers 18 and 21 and Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 through 10, means 10th in the Hebrew and is pronounced ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund. Free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming Holy Convocation, the priest of the blowing of the trumpets on September 6th, right here in Durham, North Carolina, or maybe it's going to be in Durham, or we're not sure. Right. Kanamakan. Remind Akim and Akwatium to check on social media such as isupk.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for ISUPK events and material. It is invaluable. And I'm going to give you a quick example. Last night I was listening across the line of radio, and 2 brothers came on there and said some of the most ridiculous stuff you ever heard in your life. I'm not going to repeat it, but what I want to say is the importance of it is that we see how misled and ignorant some of our people are. You understand? And that's a lesson for us to understand and to be grateful that we do have the ISUPK. Because, brother, if you would have heard, one guy said something, I almost fell off the bed. But let's go. Yeah. Okay, so if a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he is to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, shirts, pants, headband, or scarf. And with that,